It's my people. It's our way of life. It's who we are. It's the heart of all of us. Where are my people going? We've always been here. This is our land that we have lakes, rivers that we swim in, that we worship in, that we work in, the mountains around that we gathered in. They're all important to us. So being Schitsu'umsh is all of that. It's the heart. It's the way of our ancestors. It's what was instilled in us. It's us.
We are the Schitsu'umsh. We are the discovered ones, the ones who are found here since time immemorial. We came to be here by way of the great creator, Schitsu'umsh. Before we came here, a great change took place in the landscape through our relatives, the first peoples. This transformation took place so that we, the people, could inhabit this land. This is the story passed down through the generations. The first peoples were here before us and went through this change, this creation time we call the transformation. The first peoples sacrificed themselves and became the lakes, rivers, wind, mountains, animals, sun, moon, to serve the Creator's purpose for His human children. All the blessings were placed in nature when this transformation took place. We call this Mi'yep, teachings from all things. This Mi'yep, it's in all creation. Everything you see has this embedded within it. The great teachings of the great Creator, Schitsu'umsh. This is what we live by. This is what we abide by. Our whole culture was derived by this means of understanding our universe. But another change was coming, one that we would have to go through ourselves. Our world started to change for the worse when disease, wars, and loss of our landscape struck head-on like a freight train. One man named Circling Raven, who was a spiritual man and chief of our tribe, many years earlier prophesied these hardships, but also prophesied the coming of great medicine men with cross sticks and long black robes would bring new teachings and a new way of life at a time of great hardships.
We have the vision of Circling Raven, an old chief from up in that area, in the Kingston area. And in the old days, they had a certain kind of psychic power relating to animal spirits. And in some way, the raven was a powerful messenger for him, and it gave him a message in various ways about a spiritual way that would come with men wearing a black robe. How that vision, what the background might have been, filled in at later times, we don't know for sure, but there was a powerful vision there of looking for something in these changing times that would have a spiritual impact for the tribal peoples.
From 1660 to 1760, Circling Raven was our head chief. It is stated that he had an extended life and reached to be 150 years old. The last person in our tribe to live to be that old, and highly respected because of this. He searched for these men, crossing many rivers and mountains. The people would sing his prophecy songs, and many a travels looking for these medicine men, but to no avail. In 1760, our great head chief, Circling Raven, was buried in one of his favorite places near Kingston, Idaho. 15 years later, in the mid-1770s, it is said that the first smallpox epidemic hit our tribe, devastating our population. In 1801, another one hit and accomplished the same results. And in 1830, the last epidemic of disease wiped out our population. From a lush 5,000 souls in the 1770s down to 500. That is 90% of our population wiped out by something we couldn't see in a span of about 70 years. If you could imagine pretty much everyone you know dying a horrible death right in front of you, this is what the survivors had to endure. All was not difficult to endure. Some things made life easier, like knives, beads, guns, and especially the horse.
The horse allowed transportation. It allowed further travel us up into the hills to get to that elk herd. It allowed us to get to those chemist grounds that we heard about. It was so important to us, just the way the vehicle is today.
The horse brought us to far places, which we enjoyed, but also got us into trouble. We gained enemies because of our meanderings into other tribes' territories. And when we took the buffalo in their territory, we had to fight. At the same time, our elders tell us, our kids would leave as children and come back as adults. They use these trips to Montana buffalo country as a rite of passage for youngsters to learn about themselves. On May 6th of the year 1806, 3 of our people met Lewis and Clark near the confluence of the Potlatch and Clearwater rivers.
There was a clan that lived around Clarkie. They had some connections with the Wahima, the Nespers. And the Nespers had a camp or something. They'd go down the Potlatch River, I guess down to the river, salmon. That's what I think about, because some of them, the Nespers might have told them that the Coeur d'Alenes, because they went with them down there when Lewis and Clark was going by.
And on September 9th of 1809, we met David Thompson near Hope, Idaho, where we took dried salmon, trout, deer, and berries to trade for beads, wool blankets, knives, and cooking pots. But we didn't let them set up a trading post in our territory. We were very strong about what we wanted on our land and what we saw as a trespass. In the year 1841, we sent 3 of our tribal folks over the mountain to the Flathead Reservation to plead with Father D. Smet.
He had a vision from earlier Jesuit missions in the 1600s in Paraguay and South America. Missions that were called reductions. And this was his ideal of helping people carry on their traditional life as a viable community away from the invading white hordes of people that would be coming in. And this was really successful for a couple of hundred years in Paraguay until the whole reduction system of tribal colonies was destroyed by the Portuguese and Spanish governments. But Father De Smet had this little book that he carried with him, and this was his ideal. He had been in the East and he'd worked with Potawatomis for a number of years, and he had seen the destruction that came upon the tribes as the white settlers kept moving in and pushing the tribal groups back. New diseases wiped them out in so many ways. And Father De Smet had this dream of a colony, a tribal colony off away from all the white people where they could maintain their own identity and their own way of life and not be corrupted by the new society that was moving in towards the West.
It is said that nearly all of our tribe got baptized because of Circling Raven and his prophecy. We had our first Christmas in the same year near present-day Coeur d'Alene. This was something that overjoyed the people, considering all the things the tribe had to endure thus far. His prophecy included the coming of black robes and the hardships. The hardships had already come to us, so to have the black robes complete the prophecy was seen as a great blessing. We got our black robe. Now we ask for a mission to be built. Father De Smet asked for Father Point to help us with this, and we identified a spot near present-day St. Mary's on the St. Joe River. Due to flooding, we moved our mission in 1845 to present-day Cataldo, Idaho, overlooking the Coeur d'Alene River. We were very happy to find a new place to house our faith. Father Rivali, an Italian-born Jesuit, designed the building to resemble the elegant cathedrals of his homeland. Our little children helped bring up rocks for the foundation. Bundles of grass and clay were gathered for the walls. The wood was milled on site, and we did not use nails in the original construction. Over 300 of our tribal members helped with the construction of our mission. Father Rivali made many of the decorations you will see in our mission, along with the chandeliers. Huckleberry juice to stain the ceiling. You will see handprints of our ancestors in the clay walls. They put their care and love into this building.
Going back to the mission every year is special to those of us that are members of the Coeur d'Alene tribe, to remember the ancestors, to remember the spirituality that we had, and I guess to commemorate Cataldo mission itself. It is part of our history, and it's who we are. If we go back there, then we can see the cemetery and see the names on there, and some of those names are members of our families. So it's a very sacred site, very special to the tribe. After we were moved from to the reservation down here, our people still continued to go back to Cataldo every year where the church was. During that time of the year, they wanted to go up and continue doing that, but also they'd stop in and pay a special visit to Cataldo.
Priests that came in with the Catholic form of spirituality brought the concept of a high God with a whole new thought of a creator that established all these things. And though this God's presence was in all things, it was most appropriate to worship him and honor him in a sacred way in which he was thought of as being kind of above and beyond. And they used the terminology of a place called heaven. And so this was the development of a new and a larger form of spirituality. Tribal groups, for the most part, could take spiritual power that would come from different sources and add it to what they already had. And they were adaptive in this sense. And so it was an easy adjustment for them. For the European missionaries, however, they weren't so adaptive that this was the way. And the emphasis that this is the main and the only way to worship a high God. And so there was a little conflict back and forth between the tribal earth spirituality and the missionaries' more heaven spirituality. But over a period of time, I think the tribal groups adjusted and brought these two together in various ways, so that Jesus and the saints and the angels kind of took the place of the animal spirits. They each had a song to sing. They had a medallion to wear that was symbolic of this power.
It was a big event on the reservation. These met during those times because almost the whole tribe at that time was probably about 90% practicing Catholic. So it was a huge event. We load up the family car. I remember Joe even renting buses. People standing on the road to catch the bus to go to Cataldo. It was a festive time to go to church. So getting up there and seeing all your relatives, all the friends from the reservation, from the north end, was important. It was a beautiful time. We had special places to camp. Our family had a certain area, maybe another family had a different area, and I can picture those places in my mind and see those people yet as they were there.
We are the Schitsu'umsh Nation, proud inheritors of this great land where the great Creator, Schitsu'umsh, put us. The last 2 centuries, we have seen great change, and we have endured great hardships. Whatever the future brings, we will find the Creator's blessing in all things. No work of mere humans, nor any government, gave us the right to exist. To live on our homelands, to hunt and fish, to speak our language, and to dance and sing our traditional celebrations of life. These rights were given to us by Schitsu'umsh. We are His people, and the great nation He created on these lands. We are who He made us to be, who we have always been, and who we will always be, the Schitsu'umsh Nation.